Navigating and formatting a document in Word. Hey everyone, Deborah here, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate some of the basics in navigating and formatting in a document in Word. Okay, on my screen I've got a report about Louis Armstrong, a famous musician. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to move text without cutting and pasting, without copying and pasting. This is called the drag and drop method. So what I've done here is I've highlighted the second paragraph in yellow highlighting so that you can see very easily where it moves to. So this is what you do. In any case, it doesn't matter what kind of text it is, whether it's a single word or several paragraphs or a whole page. You can move text, any amount of text, very quickly and very easily. So what I'm going to do first is highlight, or rather select, this yellow highlighted second paragraph. So I'm going to do that by clicking and dragging straight down while my mouse pointer is in the left margin. I'll show you that one more time. You put your mouse pointer into the left-hand margin, and when it's a right pointing arrow like this, pointing upwards and to the right, you can click and drag straight down and it will highlight line by line. So now that I've highlighted this paragraph, all you do is you place the mouse anywhere on the paragraph that's highlighted, and you click and drag with the left mouse button to where you want it to go. Now in this case I want it to go at the top of the document, so I'm going to put it right here in front of this first paragraph. Now I'm going to make sure my mouse is very still and let go. Okay, I'm going to click away into the blank area to remove the selection, and you can see that the yellow highlighted paragraph has moved to the top where it belongs. Very easy to do. Click and drag to select whatever text you want to move, and then click and drag it to wherever you want it to go. Okay, I didn't want to do what I just did, so I'm going to undo it very quickly. And here's a tip for those of you that don't know. To quickly undo the very last thing that you did, you can press and hold down the Control button, the CTRL button on your keyboard, and tap the letter Z, as in zebra. And that will undo the last thing that I did, which was moving all of that text. Okay, next I'm going to remove the yellow highlight from this paragraph. And of course, before I do anything, before I change anything, I have to select what I'm changing. So I'm clicking and dragging to select that paragraph, and I'm going to remove the yellow highlighting. And I can do it here in the shortcut menu, or I can go up here and do it up here. And so to remove a highlight color, I can just click the highlighting button and then go down here and choose no color. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to input comments. Now, comments are a wonderful tool if you're collaborating on a single document with other people, or it can also be used as a tool to put in notes to yourself. So where do we find the comments tool? Well, if you guessed references, that would not be correct. References is where you would go if you're interested in things like the table of contents or citations or bibliography, that type of thing, or footnotes, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. No, comments can be found in the Review tab. The comments has its own group. Now you can decide how you want your comments to be seen by making a selection over here. You can do it contextual, show contextual comments, where it shows your comments side by side with the page content, or in a separate list. I prefer contextual. Okay, so let's say that I want to change this name, Marcel Wright. I want to change that name. It's an incorrect name, but I don't know what the right name is right now, the correct name. So I'm going to put a note to myself by adding a comment. So before I can add a new comment, I need to make sure that the flashing insertion point here is right where I want the comment to go on that line. Okay, so I'm going to now click New Comment, and boom, the comment pane, or rather the comment itself, shows up over here on the right-hand side, and where I had the flashing insertion point, it now is highlighting the last word in pink. So that's just an indicator. Okay, so here, over here, where it says start a conversation, I'm going to click in there and I'm going to just type a note to myself. Look up correct name. And there are two different ways for me to post the comment, to actually place it into the document. One way is right here, where it says press Control and Enter to post. Or the other way is to just click the blue arrow button right here. And there it is. So later I can delete the post, I can delete the comment, or I can reply to it if I want to talk to myself, or I can like it or edit it or do it, other things here. Okay, and this, by the way, is another icon. If I were to not show the comments, let's say if I click right up here, the comment itself goes away, and there's just a little icon, little indicator letting me know that I did put a comment there, or someone put a comment there. And if I want to see what it says, I have to click on it, and it will then show up again. Now, if I wanted to delete the comment, I can do that by clicking up here, delete the comment, or I can choose whether to delete just the comments that have been resolved or all the comments in the document. Now, if there were more than one comment, I can go to a previous comment or click up here to go to the next comment if there's more than one. If I'm collaborating with someone, that person I'm collaborating with might put a reply here. Okay, I'm helping out myself. I'm helping out saying, this is the name that you want to put in. So I'm going to post that. And this would, of course, be the name of the collaborator, my coworker, instead of me, if it was somebody else working on the same document. So again, you can make choices here about whether to edit what you posted, whether to like it or not, or whether to resolve it. Now, take note of something. The last person to write here, if you click these three dots, you'll see some other choices: link to comment, delete comment. But up here, the person who actually created the comment, who put it in the first place, now if I click those three dots next to that person's name, I also have the choice of resolving the comment. Okay, the last person doesn't have that choice. Only the person who created it in the beginning has that choice. So if I click Resolve Thread, then the comment has been resolved. In other words, there's nothing else I have to do with it. All right, so, and of course, this is the history right here. This tells me, that it's been resolved, or that I can go to the fact that it's been resolved. So, again, showing comments or not showing comments is totally up to me. So you've got lots of versatility here. Now, copying and pasting or cutting and pasting text is really basic. Those are two very basic actions that a lot of people take. Let's say that I want to copy and paste something. All right, maybe I want to copy and paste this beginning identification information. So the first thing I want to do is what? Think about it. What should I do? What do I have to do before I can make any changes? Do you remember what I said before? Yeah, I said you have to select the text. You have to tell Word which text it is that you're doing something with. So I'm going to select this text. Okay, I'm highlighting the text. Now I can do things with it. I'm going to copy and paste it. Now there's a couple of different ways to do that. One way is to go up here to the Home tab, and I can click the Copy button. And when I'm ready, I can click the Paste button. Or I can use a keyboard shortcut, which I personally like to use because I think it's faster and easier. And to copy text that's been highlighted or selected, you press and hold down the CTRL key, and you tap the letter C for copy. Okay, you won't see anything on the screen. It won't make an indication on the screen. But if you press and hold the CTRL key and tap the letter C at the same time, rest assured that you just copied that text to the invisible clipboard. So now let's say I want to go somewhere and paste it in. I don't want to cut this out. I just want to copy it. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to press Enter a couple times. and I'm going to paste it in. And I can do that on the keyboard by pressing the CTRL key and tapping the letter V for Victor. So you can see that I've copied the text and pasted it in there. Okay, I'm going to do Control Z a couple times to get back to where I was, not where I was. And I'm going to do something else. I'm going to cut and paste this time. So I'm going to select the text, and to cut text out that's been selected, you press and hold down the CTRL key and tap the letter X. That cuts it out. Now I can place it someplace else and do Control V for pasting it in. Okay, well, I'm going to undo what I just did by doing Control Z a few times until I get back to where I want to be. And that's much easier than using the mouse in my book anyway. Now for this next demonstration, I'm going to use a different version of the document that we were looking at, and I'll explain the differences between those two versions in a little bit. But sometimes when we have a long document, you want to navigate around in it, and it can be really tedious to scroll through many pages to get to where you want to go. So instead of doing it that way, what you want to do is use a tool called the Navigation Pane. The Navigation Pane is located in the View tab. So I'm going to click View, and the Navigation Pane is in this group called the Show group. So I'm going to click Navigation Pane. And what happens is on the left-hand side, it shows little thumbnails of all the pages in the document. Okay, right now I'm looking at page 1 of the document, and you can tell I'm on page 1 because, not just because I'm looking at it here on the right, but because in the pane over here on the left, page 1 has a dark outline around the outer edge of it. So that's just the indicator that that's the page I'm looking at right now. If I click down here into page 2, it instantly shoots over to page 2 or page 3. And then back to page 1 if I want. So if I have a lot of pages, like 20 or 30 pages, it makes life much easier, and I can just scroll through to the page I want very quickly. Another thing you can do is widen the navigation pane by clicking and dragging this double-headed arrow along the edge here, however you want it to be displayed. And there's other ways of looking at a document in the navigation pane, also through headings and results, but that's a story for another day. There are no headings in this document, otherwise I would be able to find them here. You can also use a search to search for specific words or terminology. So if I were to type the word works or work, it would instantly take me to the page that has that word on it. I'm going to close the navigation pane now by clicking its X button up here. Now, here's something I want to show you specifically. This is the original document that we started working with at the beginning of the video. It's the same document. It's a report about Louis Armstrong, but it's a document that has not been formatted. It's just basic, plain old typing. Nothing is formatted. The titles are not formatted. Nothing has been centered. No indentations, nothing like that. So what I want to show you is the same exact document, but it looks much better, doesn't it? It's a lot easier to read and go through. Now, what we're looking at here is the version of the document that's been formatted in MLA style. MLA stands for Modern Language Association. It's an organization that's been around for many decades, and what they do is they establish a specific formatting style that is accepted at different organizations around the world, particularly in the United States. And in this case, MLA formatting is used in college and university research papers that mainly have to do with the humanities, like psychology classes, English classes, that kind of thing. So the MLA style is very specific. The margins are very specific. You have to have double spacing. You have to indent your paragraphs. And so I want to show you what indenting a paragraph involves. Now, you'll notice that the first line of each paragraph is indented. And so to find out how it's indented, all you have to do is click into that line, especially right where the indentation is, and look at the ruler. Now, you may wonder, well, wait a minute, I'm looking at my paper on my computer and there is no ruler. How do I find that? Well, if you don't see the ruler, you have to just display it. So you go to the View tab. Once again, make sure you're on the View tab in the Show group. And it's the same group where you had your navigation pane, and go up here and put a check mark into the ruler box. And the ruler will show up here across the top and also along the left-hand side. Now, along the top ruler, you'll see these little slider buttons. They look like slider buttons. And this top one is called the first line indent. Now, if I were to notice my flashing insertion point is right there in front of that first line. If I were to press my backspace key, notice that that slider button on the ruler got shoved over to the left-hand side, to the beginning of the ruler, and so did the line. The indentation is gone. But if I press the Tab key on my keyboard once, it will indent 1/2 inch, which is the standard indentation, and that's what MLA requires, as a matter of fact. So anytime you want to indent a paragraph just by 1/2 inch, all you have to do is press the Tab key once, and it will indent 1/2 inch each time. There are other ways to indent paragraphs. You can just click and drag the slider button with your mouse pointer, and that can do the same thing. Those are two of the easiest ways to indent paragraphs. There are other ways that are a little bit more complex, particularly in setting up tabs, but I'm not going to do that in this video. That's a little bit more advanced than what I'm getting into here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you is how to use styles. Styles are found on the Home tab, so I'm going to click the Home tab. And the Styles group is here, roughly in the middle of the ribbon. And the normal choice is just the default setting. So if I were to click anywhere in any of these areas of text, it'll just say normal everywhere. But I don't want all the text to be normal. In fact, this first line of text here is the title, Louis Armstrong, American Myth, American Master. Well, I want the title to look different than the regular text. So what I'm going to do is change that and apply a specific preset style to the title. Now, remember, what do I have to do to text before I can make a change? Select it. So I'm going to select that text. And I'm going to go up here to the Styles group, and right now all I can see are these three: normal, no spacing, and heading. And by the way, if you hover your mouse over one of these, it will show you in the document what it's going to look like if I were to select it, if I were to click on it. But there's more than that, so I'm going to click this little button on the side, and there's all kinds of other styles to choose from. Here's a title style, but it's kind of big for my purposes. So what I'm going to do is maybe choose book title instead, and maybe make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to leave it selected and change the font to a slightly bigger font, maybe 16. And if I want, I can turn that into my own custom designed style. Create a style based on that. And I could call it whatever I want. I could even call it Deborah's title style. And click OK. And check it out. It's been added just exactly the way I titled it. It's now been added to the Styles gallery. So it'll be here for me if I need it again. Another style I want to use is for subheadings or section headings. So here's a title, a subtitle here called Childhood in New Orleans, and I'm going to select that and choose some other kind of style. Maybe heading 1. Okay, and so I can go through and make these changes and add styles to any of the subheadings that I want in the whole document. Finally, the last thing I'm going to show you just today in this video is how to insert a footnote. We all know what footnotes are. If you've ever done a research paper either in high school or college, chances are you've had to use a footnote at some point. So in order to do that, let's find a place in the document where we want to put a footnote. What is a footnote anyway? A footnote is some piece of information you want to have here for the reader, whoever's going to read your document. But it's not important enough to include it in the main body of text, but it is important enough to have a note about it somewhere in the document. So maybe I want to put a footnote right here at the end of the word performances right here. So I'm going to click to place my flashing insertion point there. And let's say I want to say something about Louis Armstrong's live performances, but I just want it to be a little note at the bottom of the page. The footnote will be at the foot of the page or at the bottom of that piece of paper, so down here. Okay, so where do we find footnotes? Well, you might think they would be on the insert page, but they're not on the insert page. Any other guesses? If you said references, you would be correct. References, there's a whole group called footnotes right here. So they make it easy, they just call it insert footnote. So I'm going to click that. And look what it did. It instantly created the little tiny number 1 or digit up here where my flashing insertion point was. And it automatically created the footnote area down here at the foot of the page. And it's made it ready. It's ready and waiting for me to type. So I might say something about his live performances. Now I don't know if this is true. I just made it up. That he enjoyed performing live in concert, but he had stage fright as a young man. I don't know if that's true. So don't quote me on that. But in any case, I just wanted to write something as a footnote. And so now that I've written this footnote, look what happens when I hover my mouse over the number in the body of text itself. When I do that, let me move down page a little bit. When I do that, it pops out, kind of hard to catch it. When I do that, it pops out a little screen tip showing what I typed. So that's a nice little shortcut. If you're in a long document and you can't really see the footnote right off the bat, if you want to see what you wrote, you can just hover your mouse over the number. Now, if I were to put in another footnote, let's say I want to put one here at the bottom of this paragraph, and go back to the footnote area. If I click insert footnote again, this time it will input the next number in sequence. So in this case it would be the number 2. And the number 2 footnote would be below the number 1 footnote. So I can just type whatever that footnote is going to be. And so that's how you input footnotes. Now, there's a lot more to navigating and formatting documents, all different kinds of things you can do with font size, shape, style, color, line spacing, and so forth. But that would be in my first lecture video that's on my channel. So please feel free to take a look at that if you can. And thank you for joining me today.